while. I want to know, how's your relationship with your kids?
It's great.
What does it look like?
So I, Karen, they have a very good family program. So my family therapist was calling them each day, once a week. And Patrick actually came down for 2 days while I was in treatment, and they sit in groups. And he was pretty all in. He was excited. Chris, not so much. Chris was younger, had been through the mill with her mother and me, and she just was like, it took 3 years for her to trust me. Not 3 years to talk to me, but John always told me that listen, your kids are watching you as you get in early sobriety. They're watching you. They're looking for, as a guy in my home group says, they're looking for evidence that this is real, right? And I tell my sponsees, I go, it's not like, most of the time your family, it's not that they don't love you, you've just worn them out.
Randall used to say, one of our buddies used to say, consistency over time equals trust.
Yeah.
So it took a long time to get where we got, but in order to rebuild the trust, it takes some time and some consistent behavior. They want to know that this is real.
Yeah, during COVID, Chris came and stayed with me for 8 months. And she saw me do my daily AA, and she met my friends. We had some gatherings in my house, and you'd have, 8 guys who were cooking some burgers and shooting the shit, and she would just sit there and listen to these sober men talk about life and sports. And finally, after about 3 years, she said, Dad, I'm really happy to know I have a sober parent. And that was probably the best thing she ever said to me. And our relationship gets better every year.
What's it?
Next Wednesday, she's coming down, her brother, my daughter-in-law, and my new grandbaby coming down to spend a week with me.
What's that? Oh, my God.
I mean, it's like, you talk about the promises, right? So, for people that are thinking about this, it's great. I've never, it's one thing to be sober, to not drink, but it's another thing to be sober, really sober. And there's a phrase, the dry drunk, and I was dry drunk for a while. I mean, I was all in, but the spiritual side of this, it took me a long time. And just as I was getting it, COVID hit, and I found myself locked in a condo. Everything was closed. No AA, no golf, no nothing. And I really was angry and got a little crazy and resentful. And we can't afford resentment as addicts. It's just the worst. It's the killer. And when COVID was over, somebody has told me, you need to get with the program. And if you have resentments for somebody, you need to start praying for them. Just do it and see what happens. Give it 6 months. And that's really when I finally got that last piece, which is the most important piece, which is the belief in a higher power that I'm not in control of any of this stuff. That my responsibility to the world and to myself is to do the next right thing and be a kind human being. But what I have to deal with is really out of my control. It's up to a higher power, however you define it. And when I got that, I got to tell you, it was the biggest relief I've ever had in my life. Because I was a control freak, and I was codependent, and I wanted to help people. But me helping people generally then made me resentful because they didn't give me the feedback that I desired, I was crazy. I would create resentments to justify my drinking. And it just hit me. It was a spiritual moment. I can't just find the exact moment when it happened. But it's when I finally got it that I don't have to be responsible for all this stuff.
It also connects to what somebody told you at Breakthrough about codependence.
Yeah.
Because the spiritual part really disconnects that dependence on the reaction of everybody else. Everybody else is just doing their thing. They're looking in the mirror. They're going along their way, and we don't really, whatever reaction is, it's not my responsibility. Letting it go, and the spiritual part, as you say, the spiritual mindset is an easy way to just not be responsible for every damn thing that happens in the world.
Yeah.
It's not our responsibility.
It's quite freeing.
For sure. However you get there, you get there. We're not in a position where we know. I always say that everybody's right and everybody's wrong, because nobody really knows what the right answer is. But we get the answer for yourself. That's what matters.
Yeah. Part of the brilliance of the whole program of AA is that you can define your own higher power. It's up to you. You're not, there's no punishing aspect of religion associated with it. Because that's what people ask you, my friends, when I'd say, yeah, I'm going to rehab, when I'd tell them I'm in rehab, and they'd go, first thing they'd say is, thank God, we knew we had to stage an intervention, but we're terrified of trying to intervene with you, with your anger. And then the second thing they always say is, how are you going to handle the God thing? And I would say, I don't know. I'm not there yet. Right now let's just get through rehab and try to get some